Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Silver Screen and Roll podcast. We have a blowout lineup here today to bring in a new season for a new era of Lakers basketball. And to get things started out, SB Nation and Silver Screen and Roll have a huge announcement to make. We are happy to announce that the mighty Lakers Nation will be teaming up with our network. They're a huge force in everything Lakers, and it's going to be amazing being able to collaborate with them to bring the most complete coverage of the Lakers we can between the two blogs. Joining me to talk about this partnership is Lakers Nation's editor-in-chief, Daniel Bergie.
Hey, Drew. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited. Anxious to see what we can do together. I respected Silver Screen and Roll for a long time, and actually one of our inspirations over at Lakers Nation, and it'll be nice to get on the same page and try to give the fans what they want.
It's going to be a great season, and working with you guys should make it even better for our fans to get all the coverage they could possibly ask for, right?
Yeah, definitely. We've got a bunch of good stuff over there, and I think one of the main things that your fans especially will be interested in checking out will be our YouTube channel. Fans can check it out at youtube.com/LakersNation.com. is spelled out. And we've got a bunch of good stuff over there. You can go over there. We have access to practices and have gone to some of the preseason games, and we got good interviews with the players and the coaches, and we try to get some questions in that maybe you're not going to hear from the mainstream media, all the stuff that you hear every single day that gets to be a bit redundant.
Yeah.
Try to get a little more interesting questions. Maybe some of the fans will be interested in some of the stuff you're not always going to hear on ESPN or the LA Times, stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually caught a video of this the other day with Amy and kind of detailing Metta World Peace eating almonds out of the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, definitely. Amy's show is actually one of several weekly shows we have that is it's not interviews with players. It's more stuff that the fans can relate to. And, but we've got other shows that just fans sitting around talking about basketball. Hey, what are the fans worried about? What are people on Facebook and Twitter saying about the Lakers? And so we try to take these questions and these concerns that we get from the fans and put them on these videos and give fans a chance to watch and say, hey, I asked that question. I was wondering the same thing, and they're talking about what I want to know. So that's something that we can offer the fans that they can't get in a lot of other places.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, Silver Screen and Roll has always been very focused on our long-form analysis content. We have a crew of great writers who just love talking Lakers, and being able to add those videos and, different perspectives to go with our analysis is just really going to help blend out the season. You get every angle, from every moment because, there's no denying, as you said, there's always something going on in Hollywood. There's always something to talk about, and it's going to be a fantastic season, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You guys do a great job of keeping your fans informed and giving them a little more meat on their bones, in terms of analysis and stuff like that, and what to look at, what they can expect, how to break down a loss. And I think we'll complement each other really well. And basically the goal is the same. It's to give Laker fans everywhere the most comprehensive coverage and everything that they could ask for involving the Lakers. I think together we could definitely make that happen.
You say it's a perfect pairing, kind of like Nash and Dwight?
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully we don't get in the preseason. But,
yeah, definitely. But speaking of the Lakers, we're here to talk about Lakers, so I'll be asking everybody who's joining the show today a few little projections for the season. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you, what do you think the Lakers' record's going to be?
Well, I don't think they're going to go winless. I think they'll
bold prediction.
Along the way. Honestly, I think they'll have a little trouble at first. Michael Thompson predicted them going 17-3 or something over the course of their first 20 games.
Good Lord.
Not quite sure I'm that optimistic. I'm thinking if their first 20 games, if they win 15 of them, I would be happy.
That's huge.
I'd be okay with that. Maybe. I think they'll start a little slow. Miami started a little slow and when they first paired their big super team together a couple years ago. Yep. I think they'll hit their stride midway through the season, hopefully going into the playoffs. Yep. I think they'll still probably finish near the top of the West, if not first. If they get less than 55 wins, I would be surprised. I think they'll end up probably around there. The problem is the Western Conference is so competitive, and teams like Oklahoma City and San Antonio aren't going anywhere, and so those teams are getting over 55.
And Denver got better. Arguably.
Right, Denver's good. The Clippers are good. Yep. So the Lakers could conceivably finish with 55 wins and finish third in the West. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're still going to finish first or second in the West, but somewhere between 55, 60 wins probably where they'll end up because there's way too much talent on this team for them to struggle.
How far do you think they go?
Yeah, it's tough to say, especially after, you see them play so poorly, and there's a lot of problems. You can't really take much from the preseason because ultimately it doesn't matter. And in half the games, players were playing that aren't even on the team anymore. But the turnovers are a major issue, and teams, when they get to the playoffs, teams like Oklahoma City and Denver and Miami, if they get to the finals, will kill them in transition. they turn the ball over. I mean, so a team like the Heat are just licking their chops if Lakers are going to give them the ball 20 times. Hopefully that's something that they can get under control. And I think they'll do a better job of it as they get used to playing with one another, as they all get more acclimated to the offense. I would be stunned if they didn't at least reach the Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody in the West that's going to beat them 4 out of 7 times other than maybe Oklahoma City, because Oklahoma City has enough talent to do it. Even the Clippers, I don't think, could really hold them down 4 times out of 7. I think they'll get to the finals. I think if they learn how to play through Dwight and use him as the focal point of offense rather than settling for outside jumpers or Kobe trying to do too much, then I think they'll be okay, because they have that X factor there that nobody else can match. Nobody else in the Western Conference especially has anybody that's they're going to be able to throw at Dwight that can even slow him down. So if they use him and utilize him as they should, they should cruise and get to the finals. But playing disciplined basketball is not always the easiest thing, especially for the Lakers. We've seen it forever that they play undisciplined basketball. So guys like Kobe and Nash who like to sag off and give their guys open jumpers, they almost have to do the opposite this year. They have to realize that they have this mad dog in the paint who, if the guy gets around him, it's not as big of an issue because he's going to be down there, swatting shots away. So it's their job to almost stay and overcommit to their guy out on the perimeter and take away the outside shot. And if he gets in there and he's got an open mid-range shot that Dwight can't get out to him, so be it. But you have to almost err on the side of caution. And that's something Kobe and Nash have not been used to doing for a very long time. So it's going to be a change of mindset. We'll see if they can get used to it.
So today you have to put money on it. You got Miami or Lakers in the finals?
I have to say the Lakers, because somebody's going to find where I live and But I think if they get their turnover problems under control, they have the formula to beat Miami in the set of Dwight Howard. One of the reasons that Miami is so good is because, obviously, LeBron is the best player on the planet. The Lakers have a guy that they can at least throw at him in Metta World Peace. He can slow him down. You're not going to stop him. But if Metta goes out there and he disrupts LeBron for even 2 games over the course of a series where he can hold him under 25 points or he gets 20 points, but he has to shoot a poor percentage or something like that, just to get under his skin a little bit, then the Lakers can take advantage because they have enough talent where it can be like, okay, LeBron's having an off night because Ron's up on him defensively. Let's take advantage. So I think the combination of Ron and Dwight are 2 things that other teams don't have to throw at Miami. Those are 2 big issues that Miami has been able to capitalize on. They've gotten away with having not a very good center for the last few years because there aren't very many good centers in the league. So like I said earlier, if the Lakers decide to play a committed, give Dwight Howard the ball type of offense or him as the center of their game plan, then I think they can beat Miami. But it's going to be tough. Miami got better. They won the championship, and they got better. They're really tough to beat.
Considering the talent the Lakers have, so let's say the Lakers do pull off the victory, tough 6-7 game series with Miami, come out as champions again. With the talent they have, who do you think winds up holding the Finals MVP?
Purely because, let's say they're playing Miami, right? Because
let's just say
East. Charlotte, I don't think is going to sneak past them. And so we're assuming they're playing Miami. Like I said, if they're going to beat Miami, they're going to do it with Dwight Howard.
Yes, sir.
So it will be Dwight. Because if they go through Kobe or they try to go through anybody else, they won't beat Miami. And so assuming the Lakers win the finals and they did it over the Heat, I think it'll be Howard. It's not a slight to Kobe to say that he's not the best player. Dwight Howard's 26 years old and built like, it looks carved him out of marble, they can't win this year without him, but if they win in the end, the Finals MVP will be Dwight.
Well, hey, thanks for taking the time to answer those questions. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I'm sure your Lakers Nation are excited about, growing through our site here and expanding. And you guys have some forums over there for some of our Silver Screen and Roll people to check out?
Yeah. As you know, we've got a huge following on social media and Facebook. So we've got a forum club. It's just LakersNation.com/forums. You can check it out. Signing up is quick and easy and painless. So come in and, usually try to get a bunch of new topics up there and give the fans a chance to interact with one another on things that Laker fans are interested. We've got a thread over there where fans have been posting local bars and restaurants that they know carry Time Warner Cable Sports.
That's huge. That's very big right now.
So, stuff like that where it's like, okay, I have other, questions that other Laker fans might have already answered. Where do I check it out? We definitely encourage your fans to come on over there and take a look.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you again for your time. I know I look forward to posting some of your videos up with, alongside my articles. And, we just really look forward to our partnership and just covering the Lakers with you guys. Thank you again.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it on our side, too. Should be a great time. And, hey, the fans win. That's the most important.
Yep. All right. Thank you again. We're going to move on to the next segment. Thanks again, Daniel.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, but moving on from our big announcement with Lakers Nation, I do have my usual compadres with me. Ben Rosales, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, thank you. I'm preparing for the flood of the century in the city.
Oh, Lord. And Blake, you should be doing the same, right? How you doing, Blake?
Doing good, yeah. Just preparing for Frankenstorm to come down and destroy us all, like the zombie apocalypse everybody's pretending it's going to be.
Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this podcast now. The biggest takeaway from the 0-8 preseason, is it good? Is it bad? What's the biggest thing you noticed while watching these games?
I think the thing you have to take, it's a work in progress. Like, you can see them trying to do different things every game. Like, pretty much every guy in the roster who conceivably could fight for a rotation spot was getting minutes for the backup point guard minutes. Like, Blake got his shot, Tuan got his shot, Morris got his shot, so you can't say that Brown didn't try to see what everyone could do. So and then just like even in the sets they ran, like you could tell like the Princeton's gradually being implemented. Like I think when they start the year, they're gonna simplify most of the stuff. Like Nash will just run pick and rolls way more often than they did in the last 3 or so games, where you could tell that he was kind of deferring to everyone else to try to make the system work. And I think that was also a big reason for why they weren't doing so well, because it's hard to just get a system like the Princeton on the fly and try to implement it in a real game situation. So I think it'll still be a work in progress during the regular season, but they're definitely going to just go to stuff they know is effective. It's going to win them games to start off.
What was weird for me was that how tentative everybody was. I mean, I guess I understand it completely. I understand, it's pretty much a whole new team with 2 very, very crucial pieces, and Dwight didn't play 6 games or whatever it was. But I was kind of surprised at how tentative everybody looked, and how there was this kind of, it's like everybody was trying to play nice. Like nobody really wanted to offend any of the other guys by taking too many shots, and Kobe was trying to get a lot of people involved, and he, except for that one quarter that we've touched on where he scored 23 points, I felt like he was kind of deferring a little bit unnaturally. Whereas I do feel, I'm not like a lot of people out there who think Kobe's just this gigantic ball hog and blah, blah, blah. Like I think there is a way for him to defer naturally, but everything looked a little bit clunky to me, and a little more clunky than I thought it would. That all being said, looking back on it, I don't know why any of us thought that this would go smoothly, just because Pow's a great basketball IQ, and Nash is such a great floor general. Like that's all just hyperbole. This is still a team with a lot of changes and a lot of revolving parts, and even the bench, so many revolving parts, and even the coaching staff. I mean, there's just so many different personalities, and I don't know why any of us thought that this would be, they would just roll in here and reel off 73 wins. It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's actually important that, I'll give credit to Mike Brown and going against what would be popular, in that he didn't try to run plays that are just going to win them the game. He actually, was like, I have a lot of things we're trying to implement with Eddie Jordan for the Princeton. I have a lot of players I need to really take a look at, and this isn't about wins. And he said that in the beginning, and he followed through with it. He didn't crumble to the pressure of, the fans who were panicking, or the front office maybe looking at this like, hey, you have a lot of talent on our team. Why aren't you winning a preseason game? It is preseason. It's pre-season. This is not the season. So I give credit to Mike Brown in not panicking and not pressing the button on just, I'm trying to win games now. Let me just run Nash and Dwight and pick and roll and, give it to Kobe.
For instance, that 6-minute stretch with our 5 stars on the floor at the end of the second quarter of the Kings game, they were rolling. They were running some pretty, it was straight up Princeton stuff, and they were just getting anything they wanted at any given moment, and it was very impressive. So I think it's not, assuming Kobe plays in the opener, I don't think it's outlandish to think that that's a very fair facsimile of what the offense can look like from the get-go.
Right. I mean, I actually had a question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lakers went 0-8 in the preseason, which is historically awful. And I know that there's a lot of new parts of the team, as we just said, and we were talking about, Mike Brown wasn't necessarily trying to win games, but rather was trying to implement certain things for the team for the upcoming season. Are either of you guys worried at all that this team hasn't won a game? I mean, I know that it's pretend. These are fake games, like Monopoly money, these are fake games, but it's still, I mean, I think I speak for a lot of Lakers fans when I say, like, it's somewhat disconcerting that, they didn't win one game at all.
Not really, just in the sense that they only really tried to win, like, 2 games, maybe at that. I think because the moment I think the key factor there is, like, the moment Brown sits Nash for fourth quarters, for instance, it basically tells a unit with Blake at the head, even no matter whatever starts on the floor to win the game, he basically just doesn't care at the outcome. So I think, with the exception of the Kings game where all the 5 stars were in, where they probably should have won if they were a little more used to play with one another, I'm not really bothered by that. And also the fact that the starters looked good while playing next to each other, I think that facet more than anything was the big confidence builder for me.
Well, I think in contrast is that you would kind of hope that despite the fact that he's trying to get the process down and trying to run these specific sets and trying to get familiar, these are things that the Lakers are trying to be and embody. You would hope that would lead to a victory in the preseason. And it didn't. So you didn't. I guess it was never validated that this is going to work. On that same token, kind of like Ben said, is that there's still a lot of work to do, and there's probably only 1 or 2 games where they really wanted to legitimately hey, we're going to try to win. Injuries with Dwight only playing 2 of the games where the defense is really going to be centered around him. Kobe was out a number of games. Nash sat a ton of quarters. So I don't know how many games Steve Blake led teams are going to win.
That's very true.
But definitely I would say it's a little disconcerting, but on that, you gotta, the perspective is, as Laker fans, it's preseason and just run with it, and let's see what happens in the actual season when everybody's back and, hopefully everybody's healthy again. And that's also, Jordan Hill was injured a lot of the season too, or preseason. So, having him back is a big plus to the outlook. So moving on, speaking of Jordan Hill being back, which position through all the Lakers positions, 5 of them, are you most confident with from what you've seen from the starters and the bench?
I would go with the bigs, just in general.
Center or power forward?
I'd say center and power forward, just because those 2 positions are going to be, with the guys we have to run them, they're going to be somewhat interchangeable between Jordan Hill, Pau Gasol, and Dwight, and even Sakura if he gets any burn. It's going to be pretty interchangeable in terms of, are you going to consider Hill a center or a 4? It kind of depends on who's playing next to him, but either way, it's going to be kind of the same responsibilities for him in terms of protecting the rim, rebounding, and maybe shooting the ball every once in a while. But on the whole, they all look pretty good and look pretty comfortable. I mean, Dwight's 2 games, he looked unbelievable. I think just watching him play basketball with this team, I think that everybody who made the argument that him or Bynum, I don't think that's even a thought anymore. He's just so much better than Bynum defensively that any offensive limitations he has is just not even close. He looked really good on a lot of his minutes on the floor. And Hill looked surprisingly good the last time he played.
Yep.
And Pau, I think that him and Nash are going to be some of the most beautifully brilliant basketball that you've ever seen with them on the floor at the same time. So I think I just go with the bigs in general.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be hard to find an argument actually through. I think I'm assuming, Ben, you're going to also say the same. The bigs have to be the best, and it is true that as far as the way we look at it is from the Lakers standpoint is they are very intertwinable. Jordan Hill can play power forward, he can play center. Pau Gasol can play center, he can play power forward, and Dwight Howard's obviously a center. And then you add in even into that fold is that Jameson can also play power forward. And
right.
I would agree the bigs, but I just had to say the centers I think for the reasons we've stated. Just obviously Howard and Hill's about as solid of 1-2 starter backer combination you could humanly have. So this, and also going back to Blake's point of how everyone's so interchangeable right there. So even if someone misses time, it's so easy. Like Powell can play either one. Jameson can switch into the front court, and he really should be there most of the time.
Yeah.
Rather than they'll experiment at the 3, and also Hill can play either. So and even if it really push comes to shove, I think preseason has at least assured us that Soccer can play an emergency 10 minutes, break glass in case of emergency guy. He's not going to kill the team in that period either.
Well, I think he could kill the team then. But it'd be in a different component, probably in a dark alley somewhere, He shaved his head, too. Yeah. It's as if you weren't 7 feet tall, 250, you're going to shave your head and make everybody scared of you that sits in the stands. I'm going to pee myself when I see that. It's just so scary.
But you guys want to talk about a team worried about their bench. I don't know if you guys heard this guy named, I don't know if you heard of him, James Harden.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Okay. I heard he got traded to Houston, and that's a huge blow to Oklahoma City, in my opinion. How do you guys think that affects the Lakers' run through the Western Conference? I mean, that was their third best player.
It's hard to say how this doesn't make the Lakers' job easier, because this is definitely a move for Oklahoma City first it's a cash-cutting move, so they don't have to pay the tax. Next, it's a move for the future, so there's no question in the short term that weakens them, because when you break it down, Kevin Martin, especially the Kevin Martin from last season, if you assume that's what he's more going to resemble than the super efficient Kevin Martin of 2 years ago or so, then they're undoubtedly going to be worse. And even with Eric Maynard coming back on their bench, that's a dangerously thin unit there. If they have one injury to that bench, you might have to see Hasheem Thabeet playing significant minutes, and that's really, really dangerous for them. Even as good as their starting lineup is.
Well, I think I think that they still are really very good. I mean, I read a lot about it today and then this morning, and I don't want anybody to discount that they have 2 of the 5 best players in the league, which they do. Russ Westbrook and Kevin Durant are unbelievable players who are capable of taking this team still to the finals. If anybody out there thinks they couldn't beat the Lakers anymore, that it's a complete foregone conclusion that the Lakers would beat them, it's not. Because when you have 2 guys that are going to finish in the top 5 of MVP voting every year, anything can happen. The only reason why I would say that this is a very discernible advantage for the Lakers is because it is late October. The season starts in a couple days, or their season starts in a couple days, I should say. And all of a sudden you're taking out your third best player and your second unit facilitator and your end of the game facilitator. I mean, that's just a gigantic sea change in basketball philosophy. Not just him as a player. It's he's integral to what they do and how they design their schemes and their offense and their defense. So now you take him out. If this was June, I would say, all right, well, this is a pretty smart basketball team, pretty smart coaching staff. They're going to figure out a way to maybe make this a more defensive-oriented team, maybe, kind of put a bigger emphasis on Eric Maynard as maybe an offensive player, or maybe, work Kevin Martin in, something like that. But it's just too soon. And you're going to have a devastated team of guys who are, everybody makes such a big deal out of the fact that they're so close and they're brothers. Well, that affects them negatively too, not just positively. So you have these young guys who, are separated from their slumber party buddy, and all of a sudden, and that's going to affect them on the floor. Obviously not just in terms of basketball, but emotionally as well. So I think that just because of the timing, it's going to be a big problem. Yeah. But in terms of the year after that, and the year after, and the year after, Durant's 24 and Westbrook is 23 or something like that, and they'll be just fine. This doesn't preclude them from being a huge threat. Right. But you're depending on Kevin Martin, who we just touched on a little bit. The guy can't defend anybody. He's one of the worst defending two guards in the league. And now you have him paired with Maynor, and Maynor's, a young guy, but he's coming off ACL surgery. So we're talking about a second unit who could be extremely athletically limited. So it's definitely a big blow for them. I mean, I can't pretend like I'm not happy about it. It's a big deal. I'm a little. I think when you're that close to winning the finals. No, it was 4-1, so they weren't super close. When you're that close to winning the finals, when you're right there, you go for it. And especially when you're a small market team, I know that they wanted to get value for Harden. I know they didn't want him to walk, but you go for it. Because you could be, the 1982 Orioles or whatever year it was, and Cal Ripken thought he would be in the playoffs every single year, and he didn't go back for another 14 years, and then never won a series after that. So it could just never happen again, and they could be hitting themselves, if they stall in fourth quarter execution against the Lakers next year, somebody's going to be pissed. Because they with Harden, who knows what could happen? I mean, I know he kind of crapped the bed in the finals last year, but he's 22 years old. You just go. I think you had to go for it.
When you're that close, and 4-1, as you alluded to, 4-1 isn't that close, but you're still there, and you're only going to get better with age and experience, and these guys were there. And similar to Miami last season, they got to the finals and they won the title the following year. So it's really hard to see that they're going to be as strong this year. Kevin Martin can't fill the void. He's off. He's going to have to work more off ball. He's going to have to work in some more set plays and in some isolation sets. And there's no chance that he's remotely the same defender that James Harden is. In particular on Kobe, James Harden isn't always the best defender as far as being at the two position, but he plays Kobe almost to a T. He knows just to stay planted, stay on his feet, crowd him up, and really just irritate him, and he's played Kobe so well. And Oklahoma had that kind of advantage of being able to play, Fabo as a starter to bother Kobe and then bring in Harden off the bench and really not lose too much of a step defensively. So that isn't there anymore. And, partner that with Kevin Martin's really a very inefficient season last year after the veto trade, and you really just don't know what you're going to get.
But he also, he was the playmaker for that unit. They could run a lot of the stuff they did because he was such a threat off the pick and roll. So not having that anymore, even with Maynor back, because Maynard's good. He's a good backup, but I think that's kind of overstated. Harden was one of the league's best, crossing, going to the rim off the pick and roll. So just losing that would be a big blow. It's the difference between him and Martin. But even in terms of the assets that the Thunder got, I think if this deal really hinges on what Jeremy Lamb ultimately ends up bringing for OKC, because there was a possibility they're not going to get either of those first rounders for a while because the protection on them. So if Toronto makes the playoffs this year, that's not a in the East. That's not a terribly outlandish thing to say. So if Toronto makes the playoffs, they don't get that pick, or even if they do have to confer that pick, they might be the 13th pick. So it's not that great of a selection. And then I think it's 13, 15%. But anyway, it could be in the teens instead of 4 or 5. And then the Dallas pick, we should know it's the pick. Mitch Kupchak is everywhere. It's the pick we gave to Houston for the Jordan Hill trade that we originally got for Dallas when we traded for Lamar Odom. So Mitch Kupchak helped weaken the Thunder by getting James Harden off there. So, and then that pick is top 20 protected until 2018. So they're not going to get that one either. So in the meantime, they're depending on Jeremy Lamb kind of showing that he was the guy as much as he was at Connecticut. And he had a good preseason, but I don't think he's going to be James Harden anytime in the near future. Or even if he gets there, it's going to be quite a while.
I guess bottom line, is this a move the Lakers would have made?
No.
Never, right?
No way.
Actually, it's not a move the Lakers made because the Lakers made this move 2 months ago, and it was called getting Dwight Howard with no extension. So they made the antithesis of this move, which is specifically throwing away assets, if that's what you want to call Andrew Bynum, to get a guy. Yeah, he's something. They did the opposite of what the Thunder did, and the Lakers would do this because they just did it, and that's the difference.
It just wouldn't happen. For a guy who's especially a guy who's 23, this isn't a matter of letting an older star pass it to another team. This is if you're a young guy coming off his rookie deal and not giving him the max extension. That would be almost unthinkable here.
Totally agree. There's no way this would ever happen with the
Never.
Lakers.
Just
Never. No way. So we're going to go ahead and take a break real quick, and when we come back, we're going to go over a little over-under game on the season. So can't wait to do this one. And we are back, and I've been looking forward to do this for a few weeks now. I've been waiting to do this little game here. I'm going to call it the over and under game on a few statistics for our Los Angeles Lakers, and then a little extra credit at the end here. So let's go ahead and get started right out of the gates here. Kobe Bryant, over or under 18 field goals per game. Last season, he averaged 23 field goals a game, and on his career, he's 19.6.
Oh, I'll take the under only because during the preseason, one of the trends was that he's just going to the line a lot. Yeah. So I think that's a trend that's going to continue during the season because for what he's doing in the Princeton, getting in motion, getting on cuts, and then just having single defenders who have no way of stopping him near the rim other than fouling him. I think I'll take the under there.
I'll take the under as well, but only as the season as a whole. I think earlier on in the season when guys on the team don't really know what to do as much, they're kind of getting used to the system. I can see the offense breaking down a lot and him hoisting up 25 shots a game to begin the season. But kind of as it evens out, I imagine he'll slip closer. I'd say he'd slip closer to actually 18 even. So I guess, yeah, so towards the end of the season, I imagine it'll probably gravitate to a little bit under 18. But to begin, I think he's going to be chucking a lot of shots as usual.
I'll go ahead and be contrarian here. I'm going to say over 18. Just over, though, maybe like 19 to 20. Mainly because I think he's going to get so many great looks that he's going to take a lot of shots. I wouldn't be surprised one way or the other. I think either way, though, I think we can all agree he'll be much more efficient this year. Am I right in that?
Yeah, no question.
All right, moving on here. We're going to go ahead and touch on the arguably fourth best player in this crazy lineup, Pau Gasol. Over or under 9 rebounds per game. Last season, 10.4 boards, and his career is 9.2.
Wow, was it really that high? 10.4? Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. I think you have to go under. Dwight's rebounding numbers every year are ridiculous, and then Pau's probably going to play less minutes because of our front court depth. So take that all together. I think he probably ends up around his overall efficiency numbers might be about the same, but he's definitely going to go in terms of per game to 8 or so. I think.
I agree. I think I actually think that's a lock for under. I wouldn't be surprised if it was around 7 or 8, but I think 9 is asking a little bit too much, especially I'm looking at Dwight Howard's numbers, thank you, Basketball Reference, and he's grabbing anywhere in the neighborhood of 20% of available rebounds on the floor. I mean, that's just outrageous. His rebound rate is crazy, and ridiculous. I just don't see how, especially because Pau's going to be playing the high post so much. I know he's going to get a lot of time at center when Dwight's sitting, but 9's too much to ask.
I will go ahead and go over, but only a tiny bit. I'm going to go. He'll average his career average of 9.2 again this season on the year.
Drew, you don't have to feel peer pressured.
No, there's no peer pressure at all. I just think he's very skilled. He knows how to get to the ball. He'll still be in good position, even at the high post. He'll be able to get in to get them, and he'll be playing plenty of center, considering how the Lakers are going to have to kind of tag the bench. So I think he'll still do 9.2 on the career average, but again, I'll probably be wrong here and look back at this in 2 months when he's averaging 6 rebounds a game and feel really stupid. but I'll take the over just a smidge. I still think he'll get at least 9, and percentage as far as rebounding numbers is disgusting.
Yeah,
silly.
So next in line here we have Steve Nash. Over or under 9 assists per game. Last year he did 10.7, and on his career he's at 8.6.
This is a tough one. I guess even last year when he only played 31.6 minutes and still had double-digit assists. So I guess even with the Princeton taking the ball out of his hands, I'm still gonna take the over because he has so absurd amount of people to pass to, and he's going to get like 4 assists a game throwing lobs to Dwight. So I'll take the over. I think he'll average double-digit assists this year.
That was perfectly said. I have nothing else to add. That was good.
I am going to go ahead and agree. This will be our first agreement as far as all three of us. 10.7 last year could even be topped. I could see him going towards even 11, which is pushing it, but it wouldn't be surprising to see him have a handful of games that are just like 13, 14, 15 assists where he's just cranking them out. He's, we've touched on it multiple times, the best pick-and-roll creator, and he has the best pick-and-roll finisher, and there's nothing more basic to basketball than pick-and-roll basketball. You know, that is the bread and butter of, I will agree, all three of us agree here at over 9 assists. Next, Metta World Peace, good friend of mine.
Good party man.
36% three-point shooting. He did 29% last season, which is I'm nauseous. And he has 34% on his career. So where do you guys think he falls this year?
Man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go under. I just don't see it. I think I actually would be a little bit surprised if he was shooting that many three-pointers. I think he's the kind of guy that needs to get in his rhythm. And I think from what I've seen in the preseason, I feel like he's going to be slashing a little bit more and maybe finishing at the rim a little bit more. But, I think 36 might be a little high. I think that it's probably going to be closer to about 34, 33.
I might take the even, just his jumper just looks in better form this year, probably because he doesn't feel weighted down by cement shoes as he was last year. So I think that sounds a respectable percentage. Like I think though he might shoot. I agree with Blake that he'll be cutting a lot more, so the threes and attempts might go down, but he'll be shooting a lot from the corner, especially in this offense. So maybe his percentage from the corners might end up being better than the threes he chucks up on the wing from time to time. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and take over because there's going to be so much attention through the other 4 players that he's playing with, and Nash is such a great creator. He can definitely find a ton of space on the perimeter. They're going to have to kind of sag off him and get to the paint because I imagine a lot of the Lakers' points are going to be through the paint, through cuts, through post-up opportunities between Kobe, Dwight, and Pau. So he'll find plenty of room to get a comfortable shot. His stroke looks, reasonably better so far through the preseason, and it is preseason. So I'll take over on that, and then if I'm going to throw a number on it, I'll throw 38%. And if he shoots a 38%, every Lakers fan needs to send him a thank you card. Like, that would be huge. That would be huge for the team if he can do that. So I'll take over on it. Next up, we have Dwight Howard, our center, our stalwart defender, our I'm going to abuse the rim for days kind of player. Over or under 21 points a game. Last season, he hit 20.6, and his career is 18.4.
I think it might be interesting to ask, like, how many points will he get off dunks every game on lobs? I think he might have games where he'll get 20 points on lobs. So I'll take the over. I think he's going to be the designated guy who finishes so many of the Lakers' plays. Like, the moment he got on the floor for the game against the Kings, I think every player on the floor was trying to throw him a lob. And once they figure out the angles for how that works, he's just gonna score in bunches. And like you said earlier, you have the best pick and roll point guard with the best pick and roll finisher, and that's just that he's gonna get points off that too. So we haven't got to his post game yet. So I'd say he gets 23, 24-ish.
I agree. I think it's just a complete lock that he's over 21 points. I mean, I have him penciled in for somewhere exactly what Ben said, probably about 23, 24 points, even all the way up to 25. He's just going to be the amount of space he's going to have to operate is just going to be absolutely obscene. There's just so many guys around him that everybody's afraid of hitting the shot. That is just, I think that other teams are going to be totally outmatched with him. It's over lock. Lock it up.
It is definitely a lock on my books as well. There's almost no way he doesn't get 21 points a game, and you could say that he'll get less touches potentially in the Princeton because he has, some great scorers around him. Steve Nash can get his, though I imagine Steve Nash will take a dip, but he'll still get his. Kobe Bryant's obviously going to take, around 18 field goals a game. Pau Gasol is still going to be a scorer. So he's never had as many players around him who are going to get those types of touches, but he's still going to get at least 21 points a game. He's a definite over. And it won't just be from his touches per se. The way he grabs offensive rebounds, the way they're going to space the floor, and the attention is going to be to the other players, he'll get a lot of putback opportunities as well. He'll definitely be over. That is a lock, and I have absolutely no question about that. Jody Meeks, over under 37%. He was 36% last season and 37% on his career.
Oh, come on, man.
Yep.
I mean, this is just as much of a lock as Dwight Howard. Lock it up. I like him. I think that he's capable of kind of growing into his role, but just based on kind of how he's looked at times at the preseason, I know he played a little bit better in his last few games, but I mean, I just don't see it. I don't see 37%. Again, 35%, 34% kind of makes more sense to me. The only guy I really expect to shoot well from the three-point line is Steve Nash. I don't really think anybody else. I mean, there's nobody else I'm really going to depend on for a lot of production out there.
I'm actually going to take the over on this 37%.
The over?
The over. I know. I believe in a three-point shooter. I believe.
Whatever you got, send some over here. Jesus.
I'll be on the way down there. Just let me know when the hurricane passes.
Jeez.
But, I'll take over on him. I think that his one skill, he tries to kind of put on the floor every now and then, but he is a three-point shooter by definition. That is his one NBA skill. That's why he is a professional basketball player and not trying to scrounge through the D-League like a certain Andrew Godlock. He's a little bit...
Too soon, man.
I'm sorry. I got over. I think he'll shoot, actually, I'll give him a 39%, and he'll be the best three-point shooter on the team.
Oh, Drew.
Better than Nash?
Better than Nash. I think he'll be better than Nash.
Oh, come on, man. What's happening?
I'll take even. I think, it's his one skill. Also, I think more than the preseason, they'll put him in lineups where he can actually take advantage, or he'll just be a spot-up shooter. They'll stick him when Dwight's on the floor, and they'll stick him when Nash is on the floor, and he'll get open looks. So I think it'll be more natural for him. He'll end up at 37, maybe a little over, like 38-ish.
All right. So now it's extra credit time, and I can't wait. Andrew Bynum.
I love it.
Love it.
Oh, my.
Yes. 22 points. Over under. Last season with the Lakers, he had 18.7. His career numbers are 11.7. So where do you guys have him?
Oh, I think you have to. I'll take the over. I think he's the man in Philadelphia right now. He's gonna get all the touches. The offense to be based around him. All the wing guys are now shooters. So and we're gonna get feeds from him if he ever improves the passing out of the post and double teams. So I think he could very well average 24-ish. He's a lock as bad as hard can be for the Eastern Conference All-Star team, so I'll take the over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over, too. I think he's going to be phenomenal over there. That team is so challenged offensively that I don't see how they do anything besides dump it into him every single time. They don't have Lou Williams anymore. Iguodala, as challenged of a scorer as he was, he was overmatched as kind of a first or second option there. But now that they have Drew, I mean, you watched it last year in the playoffs when they were playing Boston in the second round. I mean, we're looking at 75-point games. And nobody could score. I think there was one point last season where both teams went like 6 game time minutes without scoring or something, scoring a field goal. It was something obscene. So I just see him as just an absolute destroyer of everybody. I think he's going to go for 24 points next year. Or this year. God, this year.
Season is here. 2 days.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I am steadily, wholeheartedly, without question, taking the under here. And I love Andrew Bynum. I think he was a great center with the Lakers. The first year with Philadelphia, with as challenged as they are offensively, he'll get plenty of touches. I just don't know how much he'll convert.
But I mean, he's gonna get the ball. He's gonna get the ball. I don't know, maybe 40% of their possessions. He's going to go to the line like 10 times a game.
And he's a good free throw shooter.
And he's a great free throw shooter.
Yeah.
I just think the turnover problems, traveling, or not being able to pass out of a double and trying to do too much at times and not being able to just go up with the ball, having to recoil so often, in that type of offense where there's not a whole lot of talent around him, I would say he's going to struggle for 20 points a game. I really do. I think 20 points is really going to be his ceiling, and I hope he proves me wrong. I want him to be successful. So we're going to go ahead and take a break, and when I come back here, I have a few guests with me. I have Phillip Barnett from Forum Blue and Gold, and I have Emile Avanessian from Forum Blue Gold, and Hardwood Hype. So we'll be right back. All right, and we're back, and I am very happy to have two guests with me right now. I have both Phillip Barnett and Emile Avanessian from Forum Blue and Gold and Hardwood Hype. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Doing well, Drew. How are you?
Doing great. So we've talked up and down about the Lakers' strengths and this and that, but at this point, we still don't know how far they're going to go, and there's still a very deep Western Conference and still a few teams out east that are still looming in the background. So how do you guys feel about their chances to make it out of the West with teams like OKC, Denver, San Antonio, and the Clippers?
Phil, you want to go first?
Yeah, for me, I'm still interested in how the Lakers are going to deal with some of the faster teams. Obviously, Oklahoma City won the West last year, and then Denver, who gave them a lot of problems in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and they got better.
Yeah, they did get a lot better. They brought in Iguodala from Philly, so he's gonna that's gonna improve their defense a lot more. And obviously, they get stops like they did last year. They're going to be able to get into transition, which the Lakers still haven't been able to figure out this preseason. So it'll be interesting to see how the season goes and whether or not they're going to improve in transition defense with Dwight on the team instead of Andrew Bynum now. But those two right now, I feel the biggest threat to them getting out west.
Right, definitely. Your thoughts, Emile?
First off, I actually agree that in terms of composition of team, I think Denver is probably the most problematic matchup for the Lakers. Not only because, I think the Lakers, the biggest weakness on the Lakers is quality depth, and that's the one thing that Denver's gotten. They've got sort of not only quality depth, but they've got young, fast, athletic depth, and the Lakers don't have a lot of that coming off the bench, and even the top-heavy part of the Lakers lineup that's going to be the strength is not terribly young. And, but then with that said, switching to OKC, OKC will probably pose the biggest challenge simply because they possess the two best players in the Western Conference, that the Lakers are likely to face in the postseason. Kevin Durant is absolutely unstoppable. He's Kevin Durant.
What more do you have to say about that?
And, yeah, exactly. And Russell Westbrook, for the one thing, Russell Westbrook has just torched the Lakers in the past, and for, as thrilled as I am to have Steve Nash there, he doesn't alleviate the problem of, Russell Westbrook just torching whoever's guarding him at the top of the key. Like, Dwight helps, but Westbrook is still going to leave Nash at the top of the key whenever he wants.
Well, even if Dwight helps, though, you got to consider if Westbrook is blowing by Steve Nash and he's getting to Dwight, yeah, he's going to help, protect the rim, but that also puts Dwight in danger of getting into foul trouble.
Yeah, and Dwight's really an aggressive defender, so when he if he has 2-3 bad plays in a row where he kind of takes risks, it can kind of snowball for him.
Yeah, and to Emile's point, talking about the depth, Eric Maynard's coming off of a injury.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes.
And now they're going to be able to have Eric Maynard be their primary playmaker. And then they drafted, obviously, Perry Jones III, who, I was dreaming would somehow fall to the Lakers.
He fell so far, but got so close.
Yeah, which obviously was never going to happen. But, he's listed as a power forward, but he can easily slide over to the 3. And, they can have a second unit of Maynard, Harden, Perry Jones, Collison, Aldridge, or the B if they should go that far into their depth. So, even then, OKC is going to have quality young depth off the bench, too.
Yeah, definitely.
When it's funny, I was the one thing I was thinking about with OKC too, as Phillip mentioned, with Eric Maynard coming back, is the absurdity of, and it's not a long-term sustainable lineup, but the absurdity of the small ball lineup that they can throw out there.
Do you try to play them, tall against small?
You can go both ways. The Lakers have had a little bit of success going big against OKC's smaller lineups. They haven't been able to sustain that success for longer periods of time. But, I mean, if they can get 3 to 5 minutes, sustained success against their small ball, going big against that, OKC is going to be forced, to switch the lineups around because the Lakers, just like OKC and Denver, got better this offseason too. So, I mean, if they can sustain success for smaller periods of time against OKC, they'll be able to bring in their starters and have more success, against OKC's different lineups.
As far as any other teams in the West, do you see in a playoff series, a 7-game series, do you see any other team that could pose a problem?
Well, there's obviously the Clippers as well.
Yeah.
I don't think they pose as big a threat as the Thunder or the Nuggets.
Right.
But, I mean, they do have a lot of speed. They do have some depth, and they did get a lot better this offseason. And obviously they have Chris Paul, who's
game changer
in this league right now.
Yep.
And has been able to control things at the end of games like no one else has in the league outside of maybe LeBron in the last couple seasons. So maybe the Clippers can give the Lakers a little bit of problems, but I don't think they're a team that could beat the Lakers in a 7-game series right now.
Yeah, I agree, because they definitely pose a problem, because they're a great talented team, but a 7-game series, I mean, with the talent at hand for the Lakers, and this is obviously assuming health and they gel to an extent, at least further than they have in this preseason. Good Lord. But the Clippers it'd be a fun matchup, because I think Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre against Steve Nash, Dwight Powell, Kobe is alone worth watching every game, every second. But again, in a 7-game series, I mean, the Lakers just in a 7-game series, it's hard to see them losing to the Clippers. I still, even with the depth they got, with Caron Butler being healthy now, and if Chauncey Billups gets back into reasonable shape, they do have Bledsoe back as well, but I don't see them as a real contender yet. But again, that's remains to be seen. We still have a lot of season to see.
No, I'm inclined to agree with that. I mean, the kind of the guys that the Clippers brought in, there's a lot of sort of good talent there. The one thing I've said about Grant Hill was, a lot of people that wanted to give me crap when the Lakers acquired Nash, and I was just walking around grinning. Oh my God, how do you think Nash is going to fare away from the Phoenix training staff? Mm-hmm. Well, Grant Hill wasn't that great before he got there either. So, that's kind of a bit of a hurdle. They brought in Jamal Crawford, and Chauncey Billups is coming back. How does that not stunt Eric Bledsoe?
And look how good he looks, huh? He looks like he's ready to really have a great season behind Chris Paul, learning from one of the best. And he's springy. He's very active defensively. He plays the lanes well, and he finishes around the rim.
I'd have almost been willing to, if I were, I don't want to say if I were Vinny Del Negro, because Vinny Del Negro doesn't make sound decisions, but if I were the Clippers coach, I would almost overcommit to Bledsoe and pay the short-term price of kind of whatever growing pains there are, because the back-end reward would be so massive, I think. That said, I mean, I'm a little bit out on the Clippers this year. I'm going back to the well a second time. I had massive expectations for the Memphis Grizzlies last year.
Okay.
And, I mean, I'm back to that. I mean, I don't think the loss of O.J. Mayo is going to be terrible for them.
Wow.
And, I mean, you look at the backcourt, they've got sort of, Mike Conley is very difficult to stop. Rudy Gay in kind of a big ball lineup can go shooting guard, and he's obviously, a very good 3. Tony Allen is a premier perimeter defender, and they've got the 1-2 big guys capable of sort of going, chest to chest with the Lakers big guys.
Yeah, I think Memphis is a problem too, because they have Marc Gasol, who's played well against the Lakers, and he presents he plays Powell really well, and whenever I watch it. And they have, I don't know about Zach Randolph going into the season. I didn't think he played up to the standards of 2 years ago when they made their big run.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see if he can kind of round back out to that. Tony Allen is a great perimeter defender, as you stated, and Kobe's a great player, don't get me wrong, but you could see if he gets a good defender on him who really plays to his tendencies, like a James Harden. James Harden's not the best defender in the world, but he plays Kobe so well because he plays to his tendencies. He stays grounded, he keeps his arms up, and he sticks on them. And Tony Allen has that type of stuff, and he's a great ball hawk. And Lakers obviously have been turnover prone from everything we've seen.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about Memphis is they're kind of top heavy. Mm-hmm. They don't really have the depth off the bench like some of these other teams that could give the Lakers problems.
Agreed.
And, the Lakers don't really have a lot of depth, but their top heavy is a lot better than the Memphis Grizzlies top heavy. But, I mean, I do see the upside with this team. I think Zach Randolph battled a few injuries last year that hindered some of his success that we expected. And I think, Marcus Gasol is just going to continue to improve like he has throughout his career. So, I mean, Memphis, they are going to give the Lakers some problems. Tony Allen has been probably the best defender on Kobe throughout the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be up and down with them. They might be able to steal a game from the Lakers, but I don't see them, as a bigger threat as the Thunder or Oklahoma City.
So tell me this: how comfortable last season would you have been if you said the team that we're about to play as the Lakers has a great defender who's going to stop Kobe? This year, it doesn't feel like it's going to matter as much with the options they have. Or am I wrong in feeling that way?
My question would be, what are they going to do with Dwight? Do they have something to do there?
Right.
And if they can do something with Dwight, can they stop Pau Gasol? I mean, a team that had sort of Pau Gasol and some moderately talented spare parts in Memphis won 50 games like 3 years in a row. And he's the fourth best player on the Lakers.
But with that said, as far as the West, I mean, I really don't see. I mean, San Antonio is always in the conversation, though. I feel like we count them out every year, but every year they prove everybody wrong. I mean, Kawhi Leonard's only going to get better. I like him as a defender, as a guy up and down the court, and he's just going to improve under Popovich. Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan are a trio that have gone through pretty much everything as you can as a team. And it's just every year they truck along. And I think Tony Parker is probably the most underrated point guard in the league as far as how great he is versus how much credit he gets for being so.
Yeah, his season last year was incredible.
He's fantastic.
We love Tony Parker.
I'm a big Tony Parker fan. But the one thing with the Spurs, and again, in the West preview that I did, I do the over-under thing, so I take the Vegas lines for, what the betting lines are. And again, I took the Spurs under. Like, I went back to that idiotic well. And, one of these years I'm going to get it right, and everyone's just going to forget all the times I was wrong. But the thing is, I mean, at some point, I mean, this is the same San Antonio Spurs, thing we do all the time, right? Mm-hmm. At some point, like, all these guys get too old. And the thing is, for all the young talent that they have, I mean, you need a guy on your roster that can sort of drop 25, 30, 35 when you need.
Yeah, you need a guiding light.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Duncan, he probably has, maybe 5 or 6 25, 30-point games in him in a season. Mm-hmm. Manu Ginobili has maybe, a little bit more than that. And Parker, but, I mean, there's not another guy on that roster that I would reasonably expect to have more than maybe 2, 25-point games. And I know, like, kind of we've gone so deep into the nuances of the game and the, all the sort of minutia and the stats, but you need a dude that can score a lot of points sometimes.
You got to score points to win, regardless.
Yes.
I mean, you need somebody who will consistently put in those points, and that's Popovich. So he still coaches a great team. And that's always the danger of it. Is they might not even necessarily need that because of his coaching matchups and the way he runs the team.
Popovich is a wizard.
So out of the West, though, I think that would cover it. But out East, we have very limited group that I think would be an issue with the Lakers, and that's going to be Boston and Miami. Let's go ahead and start with Boston, though, before we get to the Heat.
I'm really in on Boston this year. One of the things, and actually I'm finishing up my Eastern Conference preview. One of the things I wrote about them is this year's Boston Celtics team reminds me of the Spurs teams of years past because they've got their core 3 guys. They've got sort of the perimeter scorer off the bench. They've got like 2 or 3, interesting perimeter defenders. And, they've got, who knows what Jared Sullinger can give them, but as an 8th man, he's probably decent, and, Brandon Bass, I mean, I know he apparently is fat as hell this, in training camp, so if he can shed some of the weight, I like Boston a lot. I like them to win 55-plus games.
55 games, wow.
Yep.
That's a lot of wins.
Yep.
I mean, they're in the Atlantic, which, isn't the deepest conference in the NBA, but, I mean, Boston is going to be a lot better than what a lot of people are expecting. They lost Ray Allen, and a lot of casual NBA fans were like, well, they don't have Ray Allen. Where are they going to get their shooting?
Yep.
But, I mean, they have a lot of talent. Paul Pierce is still one of the best small forwards in the game. He can hit from outside.
Mm-hmm.
Just
He's crafty.
From the bench. And then Avery Bradley's going to be healthy this year, which I'm going to find interesting because while he was healthy, he was a very, very good point guard. He was able to get into the lane. He had a nice little floater, and he was able to distribute well. So, I mean, if they have him for a full year, Rajon Rondo's going to be able to, get a few more breathers. He's going to be a lot more healthy for the postseason. It's an interesting Celtics team.
It is. It is. I mean, adding the depth they did with Jason Terry, Courtney Lee, having Avery Bradley back, Jeff Green. I mean, that's somebody we haven't even talked about yet. He's coming back now after his heart condition, and he's looked pretty good in the preseason. They call him worthy, which is insane. I mean, how do you compare him to Big Game James? But
freaking Scalabrini.
But I think the biggest concern for a team like Boston is what if Garnett goes down? Is he going to be able to maintain the level of play he's had? And he's not putting in 25, 30 points, anything like that, but he's still the defensive leader on that team. He's still able to fight down low. He moved to center, which I think is a good move to help elongate his career a bit and get the most out of him. Because putting him with some of the quicker and I guess stronger at this point power forwards in the league would definitely wear him down in the 82 full game season. If Garnett can stay healthy, though, I definitely see Boston being an issue. Rondo is still an amazing presence on the court. You alluded to earlier, Emile, but swapping out Ray Allen for Jason Terry might have been the best thing for Boston. I mean, realistically.
And that's a significant upgrade. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ray Allen's been sort of a shell of his former self. Like, Phillip was alluding to, Ray Allen, I mean, he can still shoot. Ray Allen will probably be able to shoot until he's 60 years old, but he's not Ray Allen, NBA headliner anymore. Mm-mm. Now he's just sort of he's a bench guy and a spot-up threat, and he'll probably be really good at that, He's basically Steve Kerr at this point.
And, I mean, going to find a way to utilize Ray Allen the best way they can. Mm-hmm. They don't really need to run him off as many screens because, I mean, not just LeBron, but Dwayne Wade, who's going to get just as much attention from help defenders. So Ray Allen's going to get his shots. He's going to find open looks in Miami. But with Boston, I think it is better that they're going to have Jason Terry, and he's coming off of the bench. So that they're not just, like, replacing his shooting, but they're replacing his shooting with the second unit, which I think they struggled with a lot last year, where they couldn't find a lot of scoring when their top 3 or 4 guys were on the bench.
Yeah,
totally agree. That's going to be huge for them.
But since we're on the topic of Miami, that's the other big threat out east. Obviously, they're defending champions. They have the best player in basketball in LeBron James, arguably first or second best shooting guard in the league in Dwayne Wade. They re-upped with Ray Allen. Chris Bosh is, third wheel, kind of forgotten, but he's moving to center apparently a bit more, and that should kind of balance out their very experimental offensive positioning they're working with now. I think obviously Vegas has them at the top odds to win the title again. But I think Miami, if the Lakers can get past the Thunder in the Western Conference, I think that would, mean that the Lakers are healthy, because obviously if any of the starting 5 get hurt, save maybe Metta World Peace, they're not getting past the Thunder flat out. But if they get past them, that also means that they've gelled well, because they're not just going to go in. I mean, the Lakers aren't just going to go in and thump the Thunder. It'll be a very hard series if they do advance past them at all. So if they get to the point where they're playing Miami, I like the Lakers' odds. I think it'll be an interesting matchup. But Miami is definitely stacked and prepped to win again.
I think the Lakers match up decently with the Heat. I mean, if you want to really sort of nitpick at the one thing where I don't consider in general games, I don't consider the Heat's sort of lack of size to be a weakness for the reason that you talked about. They sort of finally embraced this notion of, we don't have to adhere to sort of the old James Naismith idea of positions. We have these players who all do things well that complement one another. We're going to put them out there and let them play well together. With that said, I mean, I think the Lakers have sort of the interior size that would, be really problematic for Miami. What's interesting with Miami is I sort of think of them, and I know sort of everyone's going to draw this parallel, but in the sense of the early 90s Bulls, not because they finally won a championship, but in the sense that, I mean, the Miami story is the LeBron story. I mean, Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant could have won 50 games and won a playoff series or two. I mean, they did one year.
Right.
And, but it's LeBron. If LeBron is upright, they win 60-something games.
Right.
And, I mean, I think they probably just stomp through the East. I mean, Boston maybe takes 2 games off of them. But, I mean, you couldn't pay me to wager on any of the other teams in the East against them. Well, I was just thinking, I know, Phillip, you kind of dig the X's and O's and stuff like that. So this is just sort of a thought that I've had in thinking about a potential Lakers-Heat matchup. I mean, would it make sense to just go sort of man around the arc and have Dwight just patrol the zone?
Yeah, I was thinking about these kind of things, like how the Lakers are going to be able to utilize Dwight defensively. Because, I mean, just watching these first 2 preseason games, you can see the difference between Dwight and Andrew Bynum. Like, just the fact that Dwight can his feet. And it's not really just an effort thing, because Dwight is obviously putting in a lot more effort on the defensive end. But, I mean, even when Andrew Bynum was focused and in tune defensively, he just couldn't physically move his feet in the way that Dwight Howard can. And he's going to change a whole lot of shots, and he's going to force a lot of passes in situations where teams wouldn't have passed past. So to answer your question, I think, just having guys stay at home is going to be the biggest improvement for the Lakers when facing the Heat. Because, I mean, they got burnt on so many open jumpers because they're missing rotations defensively because a guy gets beat to the paint, either Andrew Bynum or Pau Gasol's late, and then the whole defense gets shifted over, but they're always a half step late. And now with Dwight Howard in the middle, who can move from one side of the paint to the other so quickly and so effortlessly, it's going to be easier for guys to stay at home and not leave guys open along the perimeter.
Right, and I think that's true. I do think, though, I'm sure you've seen it, with Kobe and Nash, they both like to cheat into the paint and like to help and like to leave their man a lot. And I think that's a tendency they're both going to have to drop because they're going to need to trust Dwight to back them up. Or, like you said, the defense is going to shift. It's going to create open looks and just chaos in general.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you alluded to earlier, just, the ability of them to gel with each other over time. I mean, that's going to happen offensively, but on the defensive end, that's really going to happen too because, like, none of these guys are used to playing with a defender in the middle, like Dwight Howard. Like, they gave him a test who was fantastic his first year as a Laker as a primary defender, but now with the primary defender in the paint, they're going to be able to, play a lot harder and a lot tighter along the perimeter, and they're going to be able to close out and contest along these jump shots that were open in previous seasons.
I fully agree. I was thinking about this the other day, too. It's a lot of people, I mean, it's easy to talk about offense because it's sexy and you can see it a lot easier as far as running plays and screens and where the touches are going, but the defensive end is just as important. And, we'll really see if Mike Brown's the defensive coach that everybody bills him to be, because it'll be very clear if the Lakers' defense isn't going, you'll know right away that there's something wrong in the schemes, and really, Mike Brown is there because he is a defensive coach, and if he can't even get the defense going, he's basically being a talking head while Eddie Jordan runs the offense.
Totally agree, because, for all the shenanigans of a year ago and all the immaturity and whatever you want to say about Dwight, he's never not shown up on the floor. Prior to last year, he'd missed something like 7 games in his career. He shows up, he boards, he plays defense, and just, he's never not shown up on the floor. And if, Mike Brown, sort of this renowned defensive coach, can't deploy the best defensive weapon in the NBA properly, it's on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other threats out east you guys see at all?
Not really.
No?
I mean,
if we're going to be 100% honest right now, if we're talking about NBA championship, the only threat out east right now is probably Miami Heat.
Yeah. I agree. Boston's a tough out, but yeah, Miami's realistically, I think Boston will put up a fight because of experience and depth, but Miami they're really good. They're really good. They're a good basketball team.
Let me throw this out to you guys before we go.
Yeah.
Where do you guys stand on the New York Knicks this year?
Far away.
Yeah, right? I think they're a train wreck, and I don't understand how people are sort of blessing them into the playoffs, and, if everyone stays healthy, I think they're mediocre at best.
And they're not even healthy.
No, exactly. I think they're going to be an absolute disaster, but even if no one misses a single game to injury, I think they're maybe lucky to be average.
No, I would have to agree with that. The big problem is, the depth they picked up is like the depth of a old shoe.
Dude, it's Kurt Thomas, Marcus Camby, and Jason Kidd, and Ray Felton.
Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah, that's not depth. That's just dudes.
It's just dudes doing the Y.
Yeah.
They are going to be fascinating to watch, though.
J.R. Smith is a primary offensive option is going to be great.
They're not going to be a team that, like you're going to worry about, like, oh, my God, what are the Lakers going to do against the Knicks this year?
No. Except Christmas.
But, like, when the Lakers do play the Knicks, you know that's the game you're going to want to watch because it's probably going to be hilarious. Like, Carmelo Anthony is still an elite top 5 to 7 basketball player, but outside of that, like, Tyson Chandler, he was Defensive Player of the Year last year, probably should have been Dwight. But, I mean, Amari, he's been on the decline for a couple years. J.R. Smith, you don't know.
I want J.R. Smith and Kobe Bryant to go at each other one game. Like, just shot for shot. I want to see who pulls up from further away.
One of my favorite games, Kobe games, is when J.R. Smith is like talking trash to Kobe in one of those Denver Lakers postseason games.
Yeah, that was the playoffs.
I think it was the year it was the conference finals where the Nuggets made it. And J.R. Smith is just talking trash to Kobe and jacking up shots from like 8 feet behind the three-point line. Kobe's like, well, if he's going to do it, I'm going to do it. So it'd be great if that happened in Madison Square Garden. Like,
oh, my goodness.
That would be great.
If that happened in New York, that would just be fascinating.
And before I let you guys go, let's go over some projections then for the Lakers season. You know, we're doing this podcast. The theme is, you know, the big season blowout before we get going. What's your projection, guys? The final record and the seeding, how far they'll go in the playoffs, and if they win in the finals, who holds the MVP trophy at the end?
I'll say they'll be like somewhere within like the middle 50 win range, like 53 to 58 or something like that. And I think they'll finish second in the West to the Thunder. But I do think that the Lakers will come out of the West, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to win a finals against the Heat. That's something I can't project right now. But if they do, finals MVP, I kind of want to say it would be Kobe because I think he would take the most shots in that series, and I think he would score the most points. And I think, those kind of things just happen to those kind of players. But it could very well be Dwight. It could very well be Steve Nash. I mean, it could be Paul Gasol, who probably deserved one of those finals MVPs.
He definitely did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really hard to say at this point.
So I've got the Lakers and OKC finishing with relatively similar records, somewhere in the neighborhood of 57 to 60 wins. I think Oklahoma City probably gets off to maybe a little bit of a faster start than the Lakers, but this sort of has the elements of one of those Shaq Kobe teams that like they might goof off a little and they might sort of drop some games they shouldn't, but once sort of that light bulb goes on, it could just be devastating, and they'll rattle off 14 out of 15, 24 out of 28, stuff like that, and assuming health, big asterisk, and so I think they end up probably 1-2 with OKC. I do like the Lakers to come out of the West, like Phillip. I don't know if they can beat the Heat at this point in the Heat's sort of progression, but if they did, my money would be on Kobe to win the MVP.
Not a lot of money,
though. if not Kobe, I say Nash.
Wow.
Because I think Nash has, Nash would have one of those games where, he'd sort of hit threes. It would be a sort of week and a half, just sort of love-in. Everybody would become an absolute, like the entire blogosphere would become immersed and just completely salivate for a week and a half straight over how brilliant Steve Nash is. Mm-hmm. And so I think that would sort of gain steam and probably elevate him.
Have 4 guys who would be the finals MVP, which you really can't say about maybe any other team in it.
Yeah, it's a great, it's amazing that we have that. We can even have this discussion is just an amazing.
I can't wait for the season to start.
I can't wait either.
We've talked and written and talked and all this stuff. Like, we need this to get rolling.
Only a few more days, so.
I know.
Oh, man. All right, well, thank you guys again for coming. Again, Phillip Barnett from Forum Blue and Gold and Emile Avanessian from Forum Blue and Gold and Hardwood Hype. They're both great writers. Make sure you guys check them out on Twitter. Check their blog. Thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Drew, thanks a lot. Phil, take care, man.
All right, later.
All right, we are back here with the Silver Screen and Roll podcast, and again, I want to thank Phillip Barnett and Emile Avanessian from Forum Blue and Gold / Hardwood Hype. Give those guys a follow at I'm So Hideous and at Hardwood Hype. I'll put their handles in the YouTube comments and all the descriptions and the post itself. So really good Lakers people to talk to, and they always have great content analysis. But we are here to finish out this big bamboozle of a podcast here with our final predictions for the Los Angeles Lakers 2012-2013 campaign. And question number 1, will the Lakers take the Western Conference for the number 1 seed? And what will their win record be?
I have them at the number 1 seed, especially in light of the Harden trade. And not discounting the Spurs. I think the Spurs are going to have a really, really good season as well, especially because they have so much continuity. And every year we always seem to, underrate the Spurs. But I have them for in the neighborhood of 63 wins. It's a lot of wins. But there's just so much talent, and I think even though the offense may take some time to come together, I think the defense is going to be so strong because of Dwight that that will keep them in games, that will win them games, even if there are, as there have been in the preseason, 20 turnovers a game, even if it's somewhere in the neighborhood between 15 and 20 turnovers a game, I still see the Lakers winning 63, 64 games.
Yeah, I have to agree. I would go around 62 wins. I think even if we think that the team will have problems, let's not forget that for a lot of nights, even if they're not running on all cylinders, the sheer talent that they have is just going to blow teams away. Because some teams for certain plays they just don't have the personnel to cover like a Nash Dwight pick and roll. Like the simple stuff is what's going to win a lot of nights. So even as they're growing, they're still going to blow teams out and look really impressive while doing so. So I would say 62. I think you have to be. I think that even that might be even a little conservative, like owing to injury and things like that. Because I think if they start rolling or getting to a nice groove at any point in the season, it's gonna be hard to see how they lose to any team that's not the Thunder or the Oklahoma City.
That's definitely understandable, but I am shooting a little bit lower. I'm going to go ahead and pick a number of 54 wins, and that will
true.
be yeah. 54
Woo!
wins, and let me defend myself here. That's considering that in the 3 years that the Lakers went to the finals, when they lost to that team that shall not be named in 2008, when they beat the Orlando Magic in 2009, and when they beat the Boston Celtics 4-3 in Game 7 in 2010, that respectively they won 57 games, 65 wins, and another 57 games. And that's with a team with a lot of continuity. They have a great philosophy with the triangle. Phil Jackson, obviously, is a fantastic coach and helped lead them through a 82-game journey. And we still have yet to see just what Mike Brown can do with this type of talent. And the other side of it is, and this is my, I think, biggest concern, is health, and that Steve Nash is going to play, hopefully, you would think 30 minutes, and we're going to have to rely on a Steve Blake type to kind of hold it down in that process, in that time. And I don't know that he can help the Lakers get to even 57 wins, which is what they reached at that point. And I think, though, the thing to consider is I'm not overly concerned with the 54-win, 57-win regular season. I'm concerned with the playoffs, and as long as they're gelling and they stay healthy going into the playoffs, I don't see that it will be a big issue that they don't win a whole bunch of regular season games. And the sheer talent alone, as you guys said, should get them a good amount of wins while they learn the Princeton and how to play off one another.
So how do you, okay, so Drew, in that case, you're saying 54 wins, 54 wins. Last year, prorated for an 82-game season at a 621 winning percentage, they would have won 51 games. So are you saying that this team, plus Steve Nash, plus Dwight Howard, less Ramon Sessions, would only win 3 more games?
Oh God!
Look. Let me save you the trouble. I'm right. Just let's adjust this. Come on, 54 games. It's got to be a little bit more than that.
All right, 54 and a half.
All right, fine. That's
Hey, if it's more than that, I am perfectly happy to admit that I was wrong. If they're winning 60 some odd games, as you guys are saying, I would be okay with that. Believe me. Okay, so you guys have been winning a high amount of games as opposed to my apparently measly 54 wins. So you guys see them making it out of the West, and obviously with the Harden trade, the landscape's changed a bit over the last few days. And if they do make it out of the West, how do you see them faring in the finals?
Well, if they made it to the finals, that means they're doing a lot of things right. I think that if there's going to be flaws on this team, and if there's going to be things that they need to grow from or need to rectify still in June or May or June, I don't even think they would make it to the finals. I think they're going to get beat by San Antonio, who would be a much, very smart team that takes advantage of weaknesses very well. Or Oklahoma, who is going to have a huge chip on their shoulder because people don't think they're a contender anymore. So if they make it to the finals, they're winning the finals.
Are they going to make it to the finals, though? Will they make it out?
Yes, I do. I think that. I think Dwight's presence defensively is what I'm really looking to have them win early and then just win by wide margins late in the season, because I think the offense will eventually work itself out. But defensively, this team is going to be, I think they're just going to be so fantastic with Dwight. I mean, or look at Orlando last year. I think they finished something like 9th or 12th or something like that in defensive efficiency, and that team is full of crappy defenders and Dwight. So I think looking at that, just looking how transformative he's been on all of his Magic teams, I think that the defense is going to take them really far, and far enough where all the offensive kinks are going to get worked out by the end of the season. So I think that this is obviously not a lock for a championship team, but I'm pretty confident in them winning a title this year.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. If they're at the point where if they're in the finals, then they've been rolling to that point forward. I think they'll eventually get there. I think we discussed how hard it is for them to learn the offense, but I think by the time we get to the playoffs, they'll have developed a pretty good rapport with everyone involved. And also, like we say that there won't be trades, but there's a fair chance I think they end up with a buyout candidate for it helps with the point guard spot or on the wings or something like that.
Let me just cut you off. Could you stop buying Jose Calderon?
I think it's a logical thing. Like not even that alone. I think there's a couple other, like, these things happen every year. Like, buyout candidates come over, they fish around for good teams. There's some smaller level things around. So, but even discounting that possibility, I think in the playoffs, this team is to be a terror. Once you cut out the team's weakest element, which is the bench, give every starter starts playing 35, 30 to even 40 minutes, they're just going to tear teams apart because the starting unit is just unbelievable. So I have them making out of the West. I think whoever ends up in the final, it's going to be Miami. It's hard to see anyone else beating them in the East. I think the Lakers have some pretty decided advantages in their favor that are pretty hard for Miami to match. Well, and conversely, we do as well. I think it's more the case for us, mainly because we have Dwight. And Dwight's now transforming a force on both ends as you find in the league besides LeBron.
I have to agree with both of you guys. As long as first off, the West, the biggest challenge, no matter what, is going to be the Thunder. You could take Harden out of the equation, and it's still the Thunder. We touched on it a little bit earlier. They're just a great team, and they have so much talent, so much youth, and they're quick, which is one of the Lakers' biggest weaknesses is speed and athleticism. But I definitely see them taking out the Thunder in the playoffs in a 7-game series, really taking advantage of having just so much talent to really play chess with the Thunder and exploit their weaknesses and get them into a position where they just don't know how to dig out of the hole. So once they pass through the Thunder in the West, which I imagine is who's going to make it, barring injury and any more crazy pill James Harden trades, once they hit the finals and imagining they'll see the Heat, I do see them winning the Heat in the finals and hoisting that Larry O'Brien up in the sky once again. It'll be a great matchup, I think. The playoffs should provide a ton of wonderful basketball for the Lakers. It should be very compelling. There's going to be so much talent on the floor between even the Thunder or the Miami Heat when we go through them that it's going to be a blast to watch. And when we hoist the title again after 2 years of being bounced decidedly by the Thunder and then swept by the Dallas Mavericks, it's going to be so sweet.
Yeah, no question.
I like it. That feels good.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's good to be able to say that pretty confidently, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually irrationally confident about the Lakers, but I think that I'm perfectly rationally confident about the Lakers this year. So
definitely. So when they do win the title, which they will, everybody, according to us,
yeah.
Who's going to hold that Finals MVP award?
This will enrage a fair portion of the fan base, but I think if they're in the finals, I think there's little question that barring some epic scoring explosions from Kobe Bryant, I think Dwight Howard is a lock to win. He's the most transformative player on both ends. He might put up, like, against Miami especially, he might put up like 30 and 20. He might put up Shaq numbers every game because there's no one on that team who can guard him even remotely. So it's hard to see how that works, especially since Kobe will have to deal with Wade. LeBron will be on him from time to time. There's no real comparison there.
I agree. I think if they make it that far, and if they're to win, it's going to be because Dwight, especially because we're talking about who they're going to face in the East. Exactly as Ben said, if they're going to be facing Miami, or even if they face Boston, it's just going to be all Dwight all the time. Both of those teams have advantages at certain positions, especially Miami, obviously having an advantage at small forward, and even shooting guard to a certain extent. No, they have this guy. It's going to be, it's Rashard Lewis that's going to outmatch everybody. But, I mean, they aside from that, I mean, the obvious advantage for the Lakers is going to be center. So I think that, exactly as Ben said, Shaq-like numbers, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. And I could have just said ditto for Ben, but basically, Kobe's going to be spending so much energy trying to defend and stuff like that. So, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Dwight.
I am joining in on the Dwight love party. He will be holding that Finals MVP trophy at the end. He's going to be completely just enthralled with the fact that he's worked very hard. He's very dedicated. You can tell just his physique, his work ethic, and a lot of people will point to he's a joker. He smiles. He's indecisive, but that doesn't take away from what he does on the basketball court and what he does to prepare every night. He's a fantastic player, and it will be a amazing sight watching somebody besides Kobe Bryant going into the future, leading this team through the NBA Finals, and I really can't wait. And hopefully this whole thing ends on a good note, and there's no question to his extension in the offseason, which they're not going to talk about. I imagine it won't happen until he's a free agent and they can max out that deal. I also have Dwight Howard. You can call him Iron Man. You can call him Superman. I really don't care what you call him. He will be called the Finals MVP at the end of the day. And that, my friends, will do it for our big season opening blowout podcast. I am very happy talking to Daniel Bergie, announcing our partnership with Lakers Nation. I appreciate the guys over at Forum Blue and Gold coming out and chatting with us. And again, as usual, my partners here, Ben Rosales and Blake. Any parting words?
Great. I'm excited for basketball. This is going to be awesome. I mean, I think every game, no matter what you watch, no matter if we're playing Charlotte or you watching Sacramento, whoever it is, whatever other garbage team that's going to be on there, it's just going to be amazing. I mean, there's just so much to watch with this team and so much to see develop. I mean, if they win or lose every night, it doesn't really matter because this is just going to be the most entertaining It's going to be one of the most entertaining Lakers seasons of all time. I mean, that's saying a lot for 17 or 16 titles. Hopefully, soon to be 17 titles.
Yeah, just going off what Blake said, I think just every game's going to be a joy to watch. Like, even as we say that it's going to be a work in progress, the team's going to have to learn the Princeton, learn how to play with each other. Just the journey of getting from where we're right now to where the end of the season, where we presume that they're going to be a playoff juggernaut that's going to blow up everyone in their path. Just the path from where we are now, a little out of whack team to the team they're going to be there. That's going to be a joy to watch. Just also these four guys, these four fantastically skilled guys, their own individual skill sets, how that workout will be that'll be excellent. So just also so yeah, as Blake said, is play against Charlotte, play against Sacramento. Those games will still be must-watch TV. We can get that TV now.
Yes, sir. It's starting to spread, so hopefully it reaches all the providers now. Hopefully it reaches DirecTV. Thank you for joining us here at the Silver Screen and Roll podcast. We look forward to doing these throughout the season, so make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let's bring in a great season of Lakers basketball together.